Hello and welcome to the review of the Boardworks Froth 5.0. This board is a soft board, however it is a fully glassed EPS foam core, and what it has is a soft EVA outer skin. The board is 21.5 inches wide, which is pretty wide, 2.5 inches thick, and comes on paper 30.39 liters. I've ridden the board and floated it, and I would argue that 30.39 is not an accurate description. Maybe that's the volume of maybe the foam, the hard board underneath the EVA, but the EVA actually adds to the buoyancy. So it's possible that the literage is 30.39. However, I'm going to tell you, relative to a firewire, let's say, that comes in at 30 liters, this thing floats way better. So if I had to convert the literage, I would say it floats more like a 33 to 34. However, your mileage may vary. You could get a board that's much thinner than mine, but this one definitely floats like a 34, 35 liter board. So the board, as you can see, comes with a future box system, and the futures are actually glassed into the inner core, so the actual epoxy board that's underneath the EVA skin. Now, having said that, the EVA skin, the soft skin that's covering the board, is about, I would say, a 1/4 inch to maybe even a little bit bigger than a 1/4 inch thick. So now the reason I'm mentioning that is because of the fins. So they're future fins, and I believe they might be a G5 or a G7. Not really sure. I didn't measure it, but they're either medium or large. And what happens is when you go ahead and you put the fins into the board and install it, you end up losing the thickness of the EVA core, the skin. Which is that 1/4 inch, because it's going to sit way deeper inside and attach itself to that glassed board underneath. But that EVA core, because the bottom of the board, the white portion right there that you're looking at, sticks out much higher, you end up losing the depth of that fin. I hope that's making sense. So I highly recommend, one, get a proper set of future fins if you're going to surf this board, and make sure it's a large fin. Maybe even an extra large fin. I'm currently running it with twin fin side fins, like an MR type fin, which are huge. However, when you put them in and you lose that EVA, that 1/4 inch, they end up being like just extra large fins, not even that big. So for that reason, I would say I would highly recommend changing them. On top of that, these fins are pretty flexible, and you want the board's already not that responsive, so you kind of want a lot of fin in the water, so that way when you push on it, the board feels more responsive. These here will give way and kind of bend with the water, and therefore you lose a lot of the responsiveness. It's a very, very soft EVA outer skin, super soft. It actually feels really nice. It's not like the Wave Storm, which kind of feels like styrofoam to me. This thing's much softer. That the tip of the nose and the tail have this even softer black foam, like a sponge. It's not as soft as sponge, but definitely it's soft to where you feel pretty safe. If that hits you in the head, you wouldn't be too concerned. I think it'll still hurt, but I don't think you're gonna get cut by it. So I'm having her hold it to kind of give you an idea of how wide it is, 21.5, and as you can see, she's not even holding it at the wide point. I don't think she could. The board actually feels wider than that because of the fact that it is thicker. The top is textured, and I think they did that, to give a sense that there'll be better traction on it, but it doesn't feel like a traction pad. It's super soft, and it's actually very, very slippery. So I highly recommend that you wax the board. And there's the spongy nose and the tail. So you do have to wax it. To be totally honest, I'm not sure what type of wax to use. I know they have certain wax for soft boards. I've tried base coat just to put a slight, to get the slick off, and that works great on a wave storm. However, on this, when I tried it on the 5.6, didn't work very well. It was still super slippery. That white portion there is paint, so they painted that and I guess stenciled that Froth logo on there in the Boardworks. So it's actually a little bit more slippery right there too when it gets wet. So what I've done is I use normal cool or cold water wax, a much softer wax, and I use that to actually wax the board. And although it comes off relatively easily, it's the only way to keep the board sticky. Now that's cold water wax. I did have my brother put some on there, but you'll see from the video what ends up happening. So this is the 5.6 I reviewed earlier next to the 5.0. The 5.6 my daughter loves. It's the perfect size for her right now. It's a good transition board from the Wave Storm. The 5.0, I bought it because I felt like it looked like the Chumley, and for the price I thought it'd be a good try. So here's the first wave, and at first it felt great, but as you can see, I slipped right off the back of the board, and that's because I didn't have enough wax. I had to get out and re-wax. It is, like I said, I mentioned, it's very slippery, and you don't have a traction pad, and I'm so used to having that kick pad back there to stop my foot from going back. So that in and of itself what made it difficult. So there's my daughter on the 5.6, and it's a perfect size for her. There you go, she positioned me, got that wave. The 5.0, you know, something with foamies. They're obviously they're not going to be as responsive, and right now in these videos I'm surfing the 5.0 with the stock fins. So not only are they not sitting deep in the water, as I mentioned, they're also very flexible. So anytime I push off of them, the board doesn't move. So you can see I'm trying to kick my back foot to make the board go forward, and it's not as responsive as obviously my other board. And if you've seen any of my videos, I mostly surf the seaside, so I could tell you right now that it doesn't even come close. So I believe I'll try to dig up some photos or videos of me surfing this board with bigger fins just to get you a better idea, but it does work better. So that was a okay wave, but I got kind of caught behind it. And I think if I had a normal board, I would have had more drive. That's me just helping my daughter. Pushed her into a wave, and I think that drop caught her by surprise. So let's see, there she is. She's learning. She just got off the Wave Storm, and this is probably her second time riding this board. And there's me. So I got an okay turn there, and so I'm trying to drive that bottom, kick that back foot out to propel the board forward. But as you can see, it doesn't really respond the way I want it to. I had better luck backhand on this board. I don't know if you saw that turn earlier, not the one that just happened, but the one before was okay. So there again, trying to push off the bottom, the board just doesn't respond. I will say though, if the waves are good, definitely it'll be a lot easier. So if you don't force maneuvers, the board works perfectly fine. And it's actually pretty fun. It floats really well. So yeah, I think there's a decent wave of hers. So she got too much on her back foot. And here's another wave where she kept her weight forward, but then got on her heels. So I believe this is one of the better waves. So I'm trying to push off the bottom. Again, it just doesn't respond. And it's mostly because I'm trying to surf it and force it like I would my normal shortboard. And it's probably not the best thing to do. But it's not a terrible board. It actually works, and it's really fun. You just have to set it up properly with proper fins. and just don't press on it too hard or force the maneuver. So here is a different day, and unfortunately in my solo shot just decided I'm not going to track, but I'm running the big side twin fins here, so they're like the MR size fins. So in this board they're like extra large, and much better drive. So I can actually pump the board, and you can see it as I'm kicking the back foot, the board's responding a little bit better. But even with the bigger fins, definitely not like a normal shortboard. So you just got to let the board do the work. So the board comes in several different sizes, and I've done the 5.6 already. We own the 7.0, so I'll probably review that next. But this was the 5.0, and as far as soft boards go, I recommend these boards because they are a step up from the Wavestorm.